How's
Um,
your how's your day going? The only thing I've heard from you this morning is that you were crying during yoga.
yeah, I was. It was like, oh man, I wanted to do our conscious conversation when I was in it, and I ended up going for a walk and I just couldn't fit it in. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to, yeah, be and perhaps as I talk about it, it will come up
Mm-hmm.
for me again. So the yoga was it was lovely, and and it was like the first thought was, I miss this. I miss yoga class, and it's part of my regular routine. And I miss the connection, and I miss the how nurturing it is. And and then the tears. I was just so sad. I was so sad that the normalcy, or whatever I want to call normal, my routine of life has been thrown upside down and inside out, and I just cried and cried, um and then I was sad because I also was feeling like I don't want to do this. Like, that was a part of it too. And I was sad because I was thrust into something I don't want to do. And I was sad because, and well, I guess I'd be angry, but I'm sad because grief stricken for myself, and how much pressure I put on myself as well. And so I was saddened by the pressure I put on myself to show up and to toe the line and to make things happen. And 17 years working on the center, and bringing the community to where we are today. And it's been hard work, and it's taken a lot of personal work. And I don't want to do any personal work. I don't want to. So there's a lot of that in there too, right? And so what came from it is that, which we know about me anyway, is how I'm always busy doing. And in my meditation, what was up was like, now you have time to be. It's all about being. And I love meditation. Meditation is not hard for me at all. I
Mm-hmm.
really love it. Um, but I can do meditation. um, so so getting quiet and turning in, and then opens me to that need to just be. And yeah, just a whole swarm of feelings, really, just really allowing myself to feel the grief that I'm feeling right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I almost I'm almost trepidatious to to dig into that any further in the conversation, because with your reluctance to want to do any personal work, but this is all of what it's about, because we are a person.
But I will, don't you know?
I know. um yeah, it it mm, the discomfort that is in just being reminds me of like the subtle things that I've been noticing and feeling about myself these days, in that it all stem like why the discomfort of just being, right? Well, it all stems like and is woven and spun up from our stories of like how we're possibly valuable, because deep down somewhere in us is something that says otherwise. That's a wound that says no, you're not. And that's a story and that says you're not good enough, and you're not doing good enough, and you're not, you could be better, and you're not super valuable unless you're doing this. The things we've been doing forever sort of forced us into like really wearing those out on our sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
Those wound buttons, they're being just poked at and scratched at, and rubbed up against. And I think sort of that's what's underway right now for, for those of us who are simply noticing. It's like, for me, I am getting to notice, the part of me that has this button inside that is about distrust. And and I get to see that, like I get to feel it. We get to feel it, in a moment of, I mean, it can come from the weirdest of places. Like right now with this is an example today with the mortgage stuff. I'm like, and just being in this arena of dealing with various mortgages, and one, on behalf of the center, and then having my own, and it's being touted online, like, and over the news and over whatever, over how I'm hearing from it, is like, oh, this great relief effort. And when you actually look down into it, it's like, it's not, I mean, I guess it's great that they're going to hit pause, but it's not really pause. And in the end, they're just tacking on this amount and making more money off people. And it's like, it's not really like extending a hand. It's almost like extending a slap in the face. And how easy that is for me to go, like, yeah, screw them. What a bunch of, what's right. And like, and I know it has nothing to do with this circumstance, because for a lot of people, this option is going to be the only option, and it's great. And if I look through, not just my own lens of that wound of distrust and how people are going to take advantage and or hurt me, that's an old story. I get to see it from a lot of perspectives. And as soon as I do that, I'm like, it's not just my way. It's not just my wounded way.
Right.
And, but it's just this little piece that's so quick to be there that exists in Collette. That's like, oh goodness. So anyway, to sort of cycle back to what you were saying, it's like, so just giving us loads of opportunities to see all this stuff that exists within us, right? And you are such a doer. You are such a, like, here, let me carry this thing up the hill for you. So when you're like isolated at home, you got this total, opportunity of like, or this, this circumstance that's having you go like I can't even do anything for anybody, so I must not be worth anything.
For sure. Yeah, there's that. And I think the tired part is, like, when I look at, starting the center from point zero, and there's just me on Quadra Island trying to find a bunch of people who want to do spiritual community together in the way that I like to do spiritual community, right? And it's been work. It's been, doing paperwork that I don't like. It's been learning how to use sound equipment. Like, I became a minister, not a sound person. It's been, learning to, or hone my skills of balance sheets and profit and loss statements, and, all those things that run in the background to run a small business that, there's been learning everywhere, and then going out and buying a building, and creating a stable environment where we have renters in the building. And so I feel like we're at another crossroads of newness at the center. It's like as if starting all over again. It's like, I don't want to start all over again. Like, I feel like, I think that's why, we've got a really interesting conversation with our board tonight, because we're going to be discussing our budget, and we're going to wrap all these personalities with everybody's different take on what's going on, everybody's different take on how to move forward, everybody's different take on what does that really mean. And we're going to throw us all in a Zoom room, and we're going to be having these tough conversations. And when I first started the center, it was just me, and I got to make the decisions all by myself. And I didn't have to, because it was just me. I didn't have to rely on or ask for anybody else's opinion or input. And for very many years, I held that place of control, and I'm so grateful not to be there anymore. But it means having a conversation where not everybody's going to be on the same page about, do we get relief from our mortgage? Yes or no? What's the long-term impact? How do we give relief to those people who rent from us? What's the long-term impact? What do we do as far as being able, what's our donation revenue going to look like? What's the impact of that? What's the, are people going to still want to give to the center? And if they do, how do we keep the center going in a way that inspires people to still give to the center? Mm-hmm. And how can we continue the good work that we do in helping people stay grounded and transforming their lives and moving towards a world that works for everyone? How can we still be present in all of that? And at the same time, dealing with, such big world change. Like, I was feeling overwhelmed and sad about it, and combination of mad and sad, and just like, I felt like that little kid who has been bullied in the playground just one too many times and wants to run home to mom and say, I don't want to go to school anymore. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it feels. And yet here we are.
The question is, though, does it have to feel that way?
Good question. I guess my immediate answer is, for a person who's good at shoving their feelings away, I wanted to stay in the feeling. I wanted to allow myself the permission to feel like the little kid that just wants to go home and disappear. Mm-hmm. And then, after allowing myself the permission to do that, then to wake up and go, okay, so what are you going to do?
Well, without leapfrogging from, I don't want to do this anymore, to, okay, pull my socks up and go, okay, right, what do I got to do here? Somewhere in between that is, why don't I want to start again? Like, what is with starting again that's so heavy?
Yeah, good question. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the part that we've talked about before, that I put burdens on my own shoulders. I create greater responsibility out of the circumstance than perhaps is
actually necessary.
Right. That I'm responsible. If something doesn't happen well with the center, I'm responsible.
I think that's the weight. When I talk about all the stuff we're rubbing up against and that exists in us, each as individuals, I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think the weight of, I am the factor. So if things are going great, yay for me.
I'm the factor.
But if the world's falling apart and my life is falling apart, or something looks hard or tough or shitty, I'm also the factor. So right. That's heavy. It's a heavy thing to carry. And is it actually true? Am I the factor for this universe?
Right. Yeah. It's our will. Yeah. I mean, we can look at it in the bigger picture of this pandemic, and, I haven't heard much of it, but I've heard a little bit about how people want to blame Chinese. It's like, really? Like, they're the factor. Mm-hmm. Like, no, it's a bigger picture than that. Actually, Lynn Twist's video, I'm only halfway through it. It's brilliant, because she talks about, different factors of how we live that impact that city in China. And like, even our 5G on our phone has something to do with it. I don't even understand how it has something to do with it, but maybe the technology or whatever it is somehow correlates back to that city. Like, there's all these things that correlate back to that city. Well, we as the consumers want that. We as the consumers want cheaper vegetables, and so want mass farming production and want, all these things as consumers. And so to point a finger at anybody, it's like, no, we can't do that. We're in this together. We're in this as a humanity. There's no fault. It just is isness. And the universe is always, I can go back to my faith always. The universe is always moving us towards a bigger and better idea. Mother Nature, when we pave over the earth, and then if we walk away from that pavement for any period of time, Mother Nature destroys the pavement in order to come back to balance in life.
So if there were one factor, it would be that. It would be a self-givingness. It would be life unfolding, life underway, life, manifesting, life, the spark of life.
And we can never separate ourselves from that. We're always that part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yay, we're sparks.
Thanks for checking in with me.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks for your yoga.
Yes, you're welcome. See you later.
Bye.